Okay, let's dive into this. So you're a builder, you're working with LLMs, and you've kind of hit a wall, right? Your base model's doing okay, but it's just not great. The big question on your mind is, what's next? Well, think of this as your practical guide to fine-tuning, made specifically for developers who need to squeeze out that next level of performance when they're operating at scale.
And that brings us to the million-dollar question. Is fine-tuning really the silver bullet everyone talks about? Is it going to be the magic fix that solves all your problems, or is it just a super expensive, time-consuming distraction from something much simpler? We're going to cut through all the hype and give you a really clear way to make that decision.
So before you even dream of firing up a training job, we have to talk about the first and most important filter. And here's the key idea, the big takeaway. Fine-tuning is an incredibly powerful tool, but it should be one of the last things you reach for in your toolbox, not the first.
And here's why that is. Almost always, your biggest wins, your biggest performance jumps, are going to come from just mastering your prompts and building out a really solid context pipeline, like Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG. Think about it. Why? It's because you're giving the model the exact information it needs to answer the question right then and there at inference time. That is so much more direct and controllable than trying to bake all that knowledge into the model's weights. This is your low-hanging fruit for sure.
This slide really just lays it all out, doesn't it? It's the core trade-off. Over on the left, you've got prompt engineering and RAG. They're low complexity, they're cheap, and they are fast. You can literally test a new prompt in seconds. But on the right, you have fine-tuning. That is a much, much heavier lift. It's the kind of high-cost, high-effort investment you make only when you have to teach the model a brand new skill. Like, speaking in a very specific JSON format every single time, or adopting a unique brand voice that you just can't get right with prompting alone.
Okay, so let's say you've passed that first filter. You've decided, yep, fine-tuning is the right move for me. Well, from here on out, your success is going to boil down to two things, and really only two things: the quality of your data and the rigor of your evaluation. I want you to let this one sink in for a second. You cannot improve what you cannot measure. It's that simple. A clean, unbiased, and really representative evaluation set isn't just a nice-to-have. No way. It is the single most critical asset in your entire project. It's your North Star, your ultimate source of truth, that tells you if all this expensive tuning is actually, working.
So how do you actually build this source of truth? Well, it's basically a three-step process. First, you've got to source high-quality examples of the exact behavior you want the model to learn. You've heard it a million times. Garbage in, garbage out. It's never been more true. Second, you have to curate that data relentlessly. Check it for diversity, check it for accuracy, look for hidden biases that could totally poison your model. And third, and listen, this part is absolutely non-negotiable. You create your evaluation set, and then you lock it away in a vault. It can never, ever touch your training data. If it does, your performance metrics are basically a lie.
All right, now for a little reality check. Because in production, it's never just about getting the absolute best performance. It's about getting great performance within certain constraints. And this brings us right to the core engineering trade-off, balancing that amazing model quality you want against the cold, hard cash and time it takes to run it, your inference cost and your latency. This chart just perfectly illustrates the #1 reason people fine-tune for economic reasons. Look, when you're just starting out, using a pay-per-call API is a total no-brainer. But what happens when your traffic starts to really scale up? That API bill can go through the roof. And that's the moment where a smaller, self-hosted fine-tuned model can become dramatically cheaper to run, making that big upfront investment totally worth it. And here's another really important point about cost that a lot of people miss. We developers, we tend to get fixated on that one-time cost of the training compute. But as you can see here, that's often the smallest piece of the pie. The real ongoing costs are the human effort for data curation and, of course, the operational expense of hosting the model for inference. That's where your budget is really going to go over the long haul. Okay, you've got your data strategy, you've run the numbers on your cost model. But even with the best plan in the world, there are these classic traps that can absolutely sink your project. We've seen these patterns pop up again and again in production systems, so let's walk through the common failure modes you need to watch out for. Welcome to the danger zone. The first, and probably the most infamous failure mode, is something called catastrophic forgetting. This is what happens when you fine-tune a model so hard on a really narrow task, let's say just generating SQL queries, that the model literally overwrites the parts of its brain responsible for its other general skills. It forgets how to do basic stuff, like summarizing an article or writing an email. Your powerful general model becomes a brittle one-trick pony. So beyond that big one, you got to watch out for these other traps. A huge one is overfitting on the style of your data instead of the actual substance. The model learns to mimic your format perfectly, but it doesn't understand the reasoning behind it. You also have to be paranoid about contaminated evaluation data. That'll give you a totally false sense of security. And finally, make sure you're not chasing misaligned metrics. Numbers that look great on a dashboard, but don't actually mean your users are happy with the results.
So let's bring it all home. We've gone through the strategy, the data, the costs, and the dangers. This is it. This is your final go/no-go checklist before you commit serious time, money, and resources to a fine-tuning project. I want you to ask yourself these 5 questions and be really honest. 1. Have you truly squeezed every last drop of performance out of prompting and RAG? 2. Do you actually have a high-quality data set ready to go right now? 3. Is your evaluation set pristine, protected, under lock and key? 4. Does the math on production cost versus performance really make sense for your scale? And finally, 5. Are you prepared to actively look for and defend against those common failures we just talked about? If you can look at this list and confidently say yes to all of them, well, then you're ready to fine-tune.
Look, at the end of the day, fine-tuning isn't magic. It's engineering. It's a disciplined process of measurement, iteration, and making smart trade-offs. You now have the strategic framework to do it the right way. So the only real question left is, what are you going to build with it?